All right. So hopefully you can hear me now because I switched to my phone and it should have fixed the problem. I'm gonna join from the computer to see if you're able to. Can you hear me? He said yes. Okay. So thank you everyone for tuning in and being patient because I've been having, I don't know what the problem is, but at home in my office, I use a docking station, and for some reason, uh, just having the laptop, of course, just having the laptop by itself is not working. But we got it resolved, and we're gonna talk about stuff now. Let me just mute that. Okay. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, BMW Doctor. We're gonna talk about N54 problems. Uh, there's a lot of them. I wanted to say that I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Yeah, you guys have been great and keeping me company, and uh, I'm glad I'm able to help a lot of you with their BMW problems. So, without further ado, M54. Please, if you join us today, please let me know where you're from and what BMW you have. Just trying to start this thing on the channel. Um, so, yeah, so M54 problems. There's a lot of them. And typically, if you're getting ready to buy one, I'm going to talk about the things that you want to check before get into it. If you're buying one and it's the mileage is close to, uh, oh, from Hayden, Idaho. I have friends there. I actually go target shooting in Hayden, Idaho every year. What a small world. I have friends in Post Falls. So the yeah, so if you're getting ready to buy one, like Brandon has a 2009, 2008, and a 2009. Oh, you have the 535. Awesome. 2008 535. I mean, they're just as problematic, the 5 or the 3 series, but man. Uh, so things that are going to break. Welcome B737 from Australia. 2004, 745, E65, Z4, E80, E85, and 430 F36. But looking to get in 135 and 4 engine, especially with the tuned. Yeah, so let's address the problems that you will have with an M54. Welcome, B737, everyone who's watching us. Um, First, and we're going to start from most expensive to least expensive. Most expensive turbos. Um, when I got mine, the turbos were shot. As a matter of fact, one of them was so rusted out that the turbine was not even spinning. Um, and you'll get them, where they start to leak oil out of the turbo housing. They don't drain right. They don't get cooled right, and it just fries them. Rule of thumb, you have a turbocharged car, if you've been driving it hard, once you get home, don't just turn it off. And this is probably something you didn't know, but it's a good practice. You want to, these turbos are, you gotta understand they are in your exhaust, in the car's exhaust system. So they get super hot. Um, and if you've been driving for a while and you're on it, it gets really hot, and you come home, you just shut it off, the thing is just gonna fry itself. So what you want to do is try to get a better view. Try to fix this. Okay, I think this is better. So what you need to do is you want to, when you come home after been driving it for a while, you want to, sit for at least a minute before you shut off your engine, because I mean it's just gonna fry itself. If you're just gonna shut it off, it's hot. It needs to cool off before you shut it off. If you just shut it off, then all the seals are just gonna get cooked, and you're gonna start experiencing oil leak problems. A lot of times when you restart your car, you'll get some smoke out of the exhaust, and the reason for that is because the oil was leaking inside of the out of the turbo into the exhaust system. So turbos, there's really no avoiding it. Once you're gonna hit between 75 to 100,000 miles, you're gonna have some sort of turbo issue, whether it's wastegate related or, um, you know, wastegate, the housing leaks. I've seen where the oil feed and the oil drain get cooked. I've seen the coolant lines go bad. Um, you're just gonna have to do the turbos at some point. Um, Stage 2 PERS on 535, stock on the 335, and the 335 one says uh, lots of guys know the N54 is thing there. I mean, with the electric, yeah, I mean that's most people think that, and it's probably, I understand, because when you shut off your car, your water pump is still active. It could still cool off stuff, but like you said, the oil is so hot. I mean, you want it to cool off a little bit. Second most expensive on the list is injectors. If your car is put prior to 2000, I believe it's mid 2009. If you have a car that's mid 2009, you will most likely have injectors that are not index 12. They're probably index 10, 9, 8, 7, whatever. And those are garbage. They're gonna die on you, and you're gonna have issues. I replaced mine with index 11. You want index 12, but at the time, you want anything index 10 and above, I think. I got index 11s, and I'm having some sort of fueling issue, but I have a feeling it's related to the injectors not sealing, where they leak, because I sometimes smell fuel. Um, if you get a car that's never been tuned, the turbos will still fail. Yes, they will last longer, but they will still fail. Um, if you're just gonna, I mean, if you're driving a 335i or any car with an N54 motor, you're gonna want to drive it hard. And when you do, things start breaking. So the injectors, for those who want to get into the N54, get something that's 2010 and newer. Once you hit 2012, it's gonna switch to. Uh, Thank you, Brendan. Um, Once you hit 2012, you're gonna switch to M55, which is the improved version of the M54, but it still has issues. It shares the same um, oil leak problems. It's got a better single turbo. It's a twin spool. A lot of people think it's a twin turbo, but it's not. It's a twin spool single turbo, and it's supposed to be a lot better. Injectors are better. They still fail. They're cheaper, but still fail. They were supposed to be better. It doesn't have higher pressure fuel pump issues, which is the third most expensive item on the M54 problems. Those are about 500 bucks. They will go bad. I believe once you hit 2009, I know mine is not too bad, and mine was built in June of 2009, and it doesn't have as many issues as the older versions of that motor. But as far as the high pressure fuel pump, if your car is prior to 2009, you're gonna have to replace that at some point. It's expensive and it breaks. Uh, what else? Oil leaks. You got, valve cover gasket. I don't think BMW has ever made a car that you could drive for more than 75,000 miles and you don't have a valve cover gasket leak. They all do. I think maybe the very, you know, E30 maybe could probably, last you longer, but 75,000 miles, you're gonna have a leak. I had a 525 that I put a motor in it, and the donor car had 60,000 miles. At 75, it started to leak. Oil filter housing gasket, oil cooler gasket. Those are gonna go bad. And it starts to leak, and then when it leaks, you cannot, and I repeat, cannot ignore it, because when you ignore it, it's gonna leak on your. Here's how it's gonna happen. So your oil filter housing gasket bolts onto the head, and then some of you have the oil cooler or the heat exchanger that's bolted onto it. If you have a leak and if you don't fix it, right below the oil filter housing area where it bolts onto the head, right below it, you got what? You got belt tensioners, you got all the pulleys. If you're just gonna drive your car and not worry about that, it's gonna destroy everything. And if you snap that belt, it's gonna get sucked into the engine, and that's not a good problem to have. It gets sucked in through because once it snaps, it's gonna wrap around the crank pulley, because that's moving still, even if the belt snaps, that's still moving. So then your the belt is gonna get behind it through the front crank seal, and you have problems. I mean, it could even destroy your engine if it gets into the timing chain. So definitely, if your car has more than 75,000 miles, you want to address that issue, because you're gonna be out a lot of money if you don't. Uh, Valve cover gasket, plugs, M54. I mean, that thing uses plugs like it's nobody's business. I've seen them go bad in 20,000 miles. So if you have any misfire issues, check your plugs. Um, Definitely upgrade to the NGK if you're tuned, because they can still fire under high heat. Um, I had a lot of problems with misfires until I went to until I went to NGK. I had Bosch and those were just junk. Yeah, you. Yes, buy e-sockets for sure. Cause yeah, so oil filter house. Good point, Brandon. Oil filter housing. If your oil cooler part, let's see which one is it. Yeah, so no, not the oil cooler part. The part that's closest to that bolts onto the head. Uh, this gizmo is supposed to use the coolant to cool the oil. But then when the oil filter housing gasket wears out, uh, you start getting your coolant into the oil, and I mean, no, the oil into the coolant. And when that happens, all your hoses, we're talking. So here's what's gonna. I've seen all these items go bad once that happens, and you ignore it, keep driving. Your hoses are gonna go bad. Your water pump is gonna go bad. The expansion tank is gonna go bad because the oil is gonna just eat up all the plastic and rubber. So you got an oil filter housing leak, fix it. Yeah, head gasket is gonna happen because your coolant, your head gasket is gonna go bad because your coolant is contaminated with oil, so therefore is not adequate to cool your engine. Um, so you're gonna overheat. Um, and you could even kill your water pump in a split second. I mean, these engines run so hot that if you're driving and you don't pay attention and you get that temperature light and did you blow a head gasket, Brandon? If you're driving and you don't pay attention and you get that light, yeah, I mean, it doesn't take long before the engine's gonna go. So that's one. Now moving, what else breaks? The what are those called? Those pressure solenoids on the front of the motor. One for intake, one for exhaust. That goes bad. Start it starts to you start getting sluggish performance, misfires, all kinds of stuff. Uh, yeah, Vano solenoids. Thank you. I've seen those go bad. Surprisingly, they go bad more commonly on the NA engines, not the turbocharged. Seen them go bad on the NAs more. Um, what else? The vacuum lines are a big failing point on the N54. You get, your wastegates don't work properly because you have uh, the N52 and the N52N, which is, I think, new technology, um, which is in the 328, 528, 25. Yeah. Just tune in a couple of minutes. No, spoke. 30FF code. I'm having those problems with N54. Check your. I was just mentioning the vacuum lines that operate the wastegates for your turbo. Check those. They go bad. The factory ones are junk. Replace them with some better ones. 30FF, yeah, that's related to your. If you're tuned, if you have a JB4, if first thing I would do is disconnect all this stuff. If you're stock, go ahead and check the vacuum lines that run to your turbos. There's four of them. Yeah, so could even be a bad turbo. Depends if it's severe. There is a way to tie in the um, change all vacuum lines, boost solenoids, no tunes, only cone filter. Check, have you one where the plugs replaced last? And what's the mileage? I'm gonna guess this car has a lot of miles. Do you hear any clunking when if you press down on the gas pedal and let go? Do you hear like there's a spoon in your turbo? Okay, plugs were replaced. Have you? Mm, run straight vacuum to the wastegates actuated test. Yeah, you could do that. You want a vacuum tester that you plug into the. Well, if they're new, I doubt they have any problems. Are those stock turbos? Kadas? I'm due for an oil change. First time. Which one would you recommend? As of now, I'm thinking I'm going liquid moly. Special Tech 5W30 is there advantage with 5W40. I wouldn't run heavier oil. Just stick with the 530. You're just gonna wear out your piston rings. A lot of people want to do that. They think it's just gonna what's they think it's better with heat, but 530 change every 5,000 miles. Um, Liquid moly is good. You can't get any better than that. I run castor oil in mine, magnetic, and it's perfect. Stock turbo with 156,000 miles. Does anybody want to guess what's wrong with this car? You need new turbos, buddy. Stop chasing your tail with and throwing parts at the car. All you need is new turbos. Those are just shot. Your wastegates are leaking, and that's why you're getting 30FF. I put all my money on it. If you're gonna replace them, don't go stock. Go bigger turbos. Well, I guess you can go stock. Just buy the upgraded turbos. stock turbo did vacuum leaks on one. Makes did vacuum leaks has none. Wastegate does rattle sometimes. Yeah, your problem is wastegate, obviously. There's no way that turbo is healthy at 156. I mean, you might have broken the record. 100,000 miles. My buddy replaced his stock ones, and he only had a charge pipe and downpipe. He replaced his at 75. So 156, pretty darn good. Yeah, well, not everyone is going to be able to do that job on their own, Brandon, because you gotta be mechanically inclined for this. Um, it's a really good thing that you encourage that, but it's going to be hard. I did my first one. I did. I had a lift. You have to remove the subframe. It's not that easy. So I was just explaining to somebody not too long ago about transmission issues, which are uh, first time it's gonna take you longer than 8 hours, but if you have access to, I mean, you can do it on the ground. I personally wouldn't do it on the ground because I've had my share with doing things on the ground. But obviously, if you have a lift, it would be a lot better. But doing it on the ground, ah man. If I were you and I was gonna do it on the ground, I would go to Harbor Freight and they have this adapter that hooks up to your floor jack and lifts up. It's got like two arms, just like a lift does, and you can lift like a whole side of your car. And you want to go as high as you can, and you're gonna need one of those engine carriers, those beams that hook up to the top of the engine. Yeah, I don't miss doing turbos. They're not fun. So going to the next item on the list for the N54 would be, and I'm sure a lot of you have done this already, with especially you guys who have more than 100,000 miles on your cars, would be the transmission. You get that second gear kind of a jerk. That usually means you need your internal seals replaced, mechatronic, and the other three that are inside of they're like sleeves inside of on top of the valve body that need to be replaced. I've done more than a dozen of these, and uh, it's been, transmission. What else? The water pump. Let's go back to the engine. Water pump goes bad. Also, around that 7,500,000 mile range. Thermostat. If you're doing the water pump, you want to do the thermostat. You don't want to just guess or take chances. Just replace the whole thing. Replace both of them as one unit. Call that day. And replace that U um, the U hose. Definitely replace that because odds are it's going to go bad at some point. Expansion tank goes bad at a higher mileage. Same goes for the radiator. They last a little longer, but eventually they'll go bad. Um, what else? I know for the M54 and the M55, the charge pipe cracks. So that's why I suggest you replace yours with the aluminum one. Forget about it. You can still run diverter valves. You don't have to go BOV, blow up valve, but that's another weak point of the M54. Vacuum pump, that's a good one too. I don't know what the symptoms are, but I would guess you get problems with wastegates. Um, I, what do you mean? Don't forget the BO. Oh, PCV. Yes, PCV. You're just gonna. The stock PCV is just not adequate for the engine. At some point, you're gonna run into burning oil. You're burning a lot of oil. So, what you want to do is once you, I would just upgrade it. Go to a higher quality one. Uh, which company makes them? Lots of companies make them, but which company is it? Dang it! So horrible with names. Uh, anyways, upgrade your PCV. It's gonna have. I've used it $40 one. I didn't get good results with it. I would go a little FCP Euro, yeah, FCP. I mean, if you go to FTP Motorsport, yeah, I think that's the one I have, and I didn't have much luck with it. Burger Tuning probably has a better one, but I'm trying to think of this company, VRSF. VRSF makes really good stuff. Uh, your adding to the oil leak list, um, the rear main seal and the oil pan. Those are gonna go bad too. What I want to do is upgrade mine to where I can run. I have a burger tuning catch can, but it's not really working. I want to upgrade to the one that you run to your uh, throttle body. You block. I forget what the setup is, but you cap one end of the PCV and then run a couple of hoses. One goes to the throttle body and one goes to the valve cover. And some kits I've seen go to that Allen bolt or Allen cap. That's yeah, PCV delete. And then they have one that runs in um, uh, runs a hose to the front of the head so you can vent from there. There's all kinds of setups. I want to do that because it's probably going to work better. The one with the AEM fittings. Yeah, so oil burning for the cars that are prior to 2009. You also have problems with the ECU uh, not allowing the injectors to fire due to uh, solder points inside of the circuit board of the engine control module. Those they just don't make good contact after a while, after they get heat cycled so many times, because the air gets hot and the solder points are weak. Yep, it's the MSD MSD 80. Yep. Uh, so if your car is prior to 2009, you're gonna have to deal with that. You can get a rebuilt, you send it in, and they just redo it and send it back to you. No coding needed. Um, what else? I have seen. Oh, this something happened to me, and this is probably going to be applicable to the tuned engines, or if you have, you know, all the bolt-ons like I do. If you run an FBO, I had a problem with the PCV so severe that because I was making so much boost, it wasn't venting the crankcase pressure out. It cracked my valve cover. And that's why you see companies nowadays make aluminum valve covers. So that's it's not a small list. Uh, yes, Vader Solutions. I can't find the one that bolts onto the head. I don't know. I ran into it one time, but I can't find it. If you can, send me a link to it, please. Or maybe if you have the model of that one. Um, what else? Engine wise. A lot of people tell me that the transmission thermostat goes bad and they have to. Oh, that's probably why. Transmission thermostat goes bad, which is the part on your oil cooler. Perfect. Thank you. Um, which controls, how much uh, oil goes into the transmission to cool it off. So that's another one. Uh, I haven't had to replace mine. I'm at 125,000 right now. Um, I'm hearing weird noise, guys. I don't know if anybody ran into this problem. The noise sounds like a bad wheel bearing. I think it's in the front. I hope so, because the rears are so hard to replace. They're just gonna be welded on there. What are you talking about? Oh, the transmission thermostat. Yep. Um, wheel bearings. What do you guys run for brakes? Brandon, what do you have on your cars? I hope you have some good brakes. I don't like weak brakes. Well, I'm gonna tell you what I have. I'm running EBC and stock rotors because the stock rotors are pretty hefty. So I got me a full set of Miley rotors and EBC yellow stuff, which is street and track. They're flawless. I mean, they're just really touchy. Stop tick. All right. Yeah, I heard good things about stop tick. Um, so yeah. Oh my God, it's terrible. Got a lot of brake dusts. My wheels are from an M3 and they're gunmetal, but right now they are black. Um, I have Brembo four piston kit on my E39. What do you think, Brendan? Should I put the? I have a spare N54. Yeah, it is custom wheel paint. I have an E39 530, but in Colorado I'm at like 6,500 foot elevation. Thing is so weak. I mean, anything that's not turbocharged is just, you know, so weak in Colorado. What do you think? Should I put an M54 in it? Or is that going to be a really bad idea? Trying to think of other problems that you may have with these cars. Yeah, that's what I don't want to turn that car into because it's so reliable. Like I've redone that M54, I replaced all the weak points, so it should run me another 75,000. But if I put an M54 in it, it's gonna be so fast, but it's gonna be so problematic. Plus, I'm gonna need a 6 speed, so I have to throw away my good transmission too. I don't know, but I want to make it faster. Hmm, there has to be more things. Oh, part of the PVC problem, PCV problem, the your carbon buildup in the intake ports. You're gonna have that's yeah that accumulates around 50,000 miles, and there is no escaping it. You're gonna have it. I don't care what kind of PCV system you're using, you're gonna have it. Uh, and that needs to be walnut blasted. Uh, I have worked for dealerships, but I'm no longer certified. Um, I run my own, well, by BMW, anyways, certified. But I run my own business. I'll do a shop. I just built my shop recently, my dream shop. Still working on it at the moment. It doesn't have an overhead door yet, but I'll do a video showing that and showing the whole process of uh, leveling the land, building the shop from scratch. It was, I got it in late May, and a week ago, I poured concrete. So it was a 5 month process, but pays off. Thank you. Walnut blasting, yes. Get your own blaster from Harbor Freight. The walnut shells aren't that expensive. One box should run you. You can, if you perfect it and you do it enough times, you can probably use one box 3 times. Uh, I haven't. I've had a short lift in my old house. We had a regular, regular ceiling and 8 foot ceiling, so I had to buy a short lift. I've had a Max Jacks uh, short lift for since to 2017. I swapped a couple of motors on the ground, jack stands and the floor jack. Just like it just screwed up my back. Never again. So um, pull the trigger on a Max Jacks lift. It's it had changed my life since. And now with this new shop, it's a 900 square feet garage, so we're gonna do one, and the ceiling is 12 foot, so we're gonna do one full size lift and one and my short lift next to it. So it's gonna be pretty. The short lift, it was a little over 2 grand. Uh, it's not. I mean, for me, I'm running a side business. I'm working on cars all the time, so it's everything you see on the channel it's cars I've worked on, and I haven't been active on the channel. If you want to see what we've been working on, check out my Instagram. That's the BMW DCTR. Um, Check it out there. Been out. I never stopped posting on there. Uh, what else? I think that's it. Nobody really has problems with the intercooler. It doesn't really go bad. But if you're running more power, you need to replace it. Get you a bigger one. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I have once had this guy with a bad drive shaft. He his 535, and he had a bad drive shaft. So that was one time thing. I never heard from him. I gave him a quote, but drive shafts are so expensive. Thanks, Brandon. Take care. Um, yeah, I think this is it. Kind of running out of energy. I'm sleep deprived. Probably should head to bed. But thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, email them to me. I have had some emails from some of you, but I don't have enough to answer them. And this was supposed to be just an N54 episode, so hopefully we covered enough information about the N54. If you have questions about it, let me know. I'm here for you. Um, I think we'll keep doing these live videos. It's I'm seeing a lot of interaction from you guys, and I think you guys like it, so we'll keep doing them. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful week, and hopefully have less problems with your BMWs if you have any, and less future problems if you don't have any. And take care, and we'll see you guys on the next one.